Going by Mr. Gaston's journal, he had something of an obsession with this field. He had several entries about seeing lights over it in the night.
I'm more interested in whether or not he mentioned who was after him.
Oh, he did?
And?
Well, sir, he believed he was being watched by Martians.
Martians, George?
He felt they were among us.
Clearly, Gaston was more delusional than I thought.
Sir, you may want to come take a look at this.
What is it, George? It appears to be a track of some sort.
Sir, could this be a Martian footprint?
George, don't let your imagination get the better of you. The tracks appear to be going this way.
It was the work of a ghost. The ghost of Queen's Park.
There's a ghost?
Not just one, several. Apparitions have been sighted through the halls. Lady ghosts, one and all. But this one was different from the others.
How so?
This one was glowing.
It was glowing? I spoke to some of the neighbors. A Bert Hawksworth up on Concession 5 says he saw bright lights moving through the fields last night. He thought they looked extraterrestrial. His words, sir.
So it's your feeling that this is the work of Martians, George?
No, sir. Venusians. Sir, do you suppose that the snake, having been buried with the princess, was actually under some sort of spell?
A spell, George?
Yes, sir. Not unlike Sleeping Beauty.
George, he can't have vanished into thin air.
Unless that's exactly what happened.
George, there are still a great many earthly explanations we've yet to dismiss.
Sir, there is another explanation. Perhaps Jeremiah Fuller is a revenant. A walking dead.
Oh, that's a new one.
Sir, I hesitate to even suggest this, but I've recently been informed of the most unusual theory. What if our thief was headed down?
Down.
Sir, many people believe that a race of beings live inside the hollows of the earth.
I don't know what to say to that, George.
I think we can all agree that the witness was describing a werewolf.
Oh, bloody hell, Crabtree. It wasn't a werewolf.
Or perhaps it was his zombie.
It wasn't his bloody zombie either.
It's a vampire, without a doubt.
Cannibals. Now that's a chilling thought. You know, I've heard that in the islands near Borneo...
Crabtree.
I wanted to speak to you about the legend of Queen Mat.
Oh, here we go.
I came upon the legend while researching my book.
Strange happenings in Perth County. The luminous craft hovered over the forest before shooting off to the east at high speed.
If you want spooky, I've been reading about this Haitian voodoo. They have creatures called zombies. They're the living dead.
Sir, I've been doing some reading, and as it turns out, even the President of the United States believes in the Hollow Earth. Sirs, it's not unlike a ghost in that it has unfinished business in this world, but rather than a fleeting apparition, a revenant continues to inhabit its own dead, decomposing corpse.
What the bloody hell is a vampire?
Oh, it's a vile creature, sir. A human corpse that rises from its grave after the sun goes down, and to sustain its undead existence, it drinks the blood of the living.
He's beginning to worry me.
We don't know exactly what we're getting into.
Well, it's not Martians.
How can you be sure?
Sir, the idea that there are people living inside the Earth
Is absurd. George, gravity alone would preclude the possibility.
I beg to differ, sir. Mummies have been cursing people since as early as 1699, when a Frenchman, Louis Pénichet, reported that a ship transporting 2 mummies was plagued by extraordinarily stormy seas until the mummies were thrown overboard. It was a real problem in medieval England, sir, to the point that people would have to be buried with stones in their mouths to keep them from rising from the grave.
Venusians, sir, have a motive for invasion.
And what would that motive be?
Well, sir, Venus is permanently beclouded. Clearly, they've somehow managed to sully their own atmosphere and now covet our clear blue sky.
I don't know what to say to that either, George.
Well, sir, I can't speak with authority on the subject. I'm no expert.
Clearly.
In fact, I'm quite convinced it's pitch black, and the Hollow Earthers have pale, almost translucent skin, and they have snout noses, sir. They are these snouted beasts who navigate by their sense of smell. And, no, sir, by sound, of course. They're like bats. They emit this high-pitched... and it bounces through the tunnels.
George, why have we not seen one of these snouted beasts then? George, Jeremiah Fuller was not buried with a stone in his mouth.
My point exactly. Perhaps there is something to this curse business.
Curse.
Yes, Beaton Manor is said to be cursed.
Ah, well, that's it then. Good work, Crabtree. A curse, of course. Bloody hell.
Sir, I think we may be premature in eliminating the supernatural element from this investigation. At least 2 people have said they've seen a glowing ghost in recent days.
George, there is absolutely no scientific basis for the existence of ghosts.
Yes, sir, but you yourself have said the absence of evidence is not necessarily the evidence of absence.
Crabtree, what do you know about this demon in the lake?
I'm not entirely convinced, sir.
You don't believe in sea monsters?
Well, obviously there are monsters in the sea, sir. That's why they call them sea monsters, but I've never heard of any lake monster.
So it's your belief, George, that Mr. Chilton was killed by the ghost of someone he himself murdered?
Or wronged in some way?
Oh, that's a very interesting theory.
Thank you, sir.
And given unlimited resources, I would happily permit you to follow this line of inquiry. But as it is, I need you to find out what Dr. Grace has for us. Thank you.
Sir, you'll be pleased to know that I no longer believe Jeremiah Fuller to be a revenant.
Well, yes, George, I am happy to hear that.
Since, given the evidence, it seems quite clear to me that these men are actually Haitian zombies.
Yes. And it would appear that their Bokor master is this Dr. Sabé.
Yes, sir.
And it's his sorcery that's making him so difficult to locate.
So that's exactly my thinking.
George, why go to the trouble of killing Ivan Walensky and faking his suicide when they could easily dispatch him with a death ray?
Yes, death ray, sir. That's a good question. Sir, are you mocking me?
Keep me apprised, Doctor.
Sir!
You're telling me that you believe in zombies, werewolves, vampires, Martians, Venusians, curses, voodoo, ghosts, and apparently sea monsters. But a creature in Lake Ontario that both I and Detective Murdoch have witnessed is beyond the scope of your otherwise vivid imagination. You're telling me that?
Sir, I can't attest to what you witnessed. I'm afraid I remain a skeptic. And, sir, I know there are no vampires.
No.
In North America.